We've been witnessing something remarkable. Ferrari prices that were once astronomically high have been decreasing for more than a year. Some models lost up to 18%. However, buying a Ferrari right now doesn't mean that you need to lose as much. There are few models for which prices remain stable. And these aren't just the high-end specials like the 458 Specialis. In this video you'll get a full update on the latest price developments, how they compare to the market, and what all of this means for future prices. Should you worry as a buyer, seller or owner? The F355 is a car that belongs to the group of exceptions. We can see that prices have been relatively stable since the end of 2021. Automatic Spyders hover around $100,000. Fioranos are more expensive and rarer. The market for them is so small that I cannot show you a reliable price trend. Only one or two are typically listed for sale. And right now, this example at Sotheby's Motorsport is one of them. You're looking at number 21 out of the 104 examples that were ever produced. And it could be yours. The first owner certainly had great taste. The Nero exterior and 10 interior make a great combo. Now it can be a little bit nerve-wracking to buy a 25-year-old Ferrari. But don't worry, Sotheby Motorsport raises the bar on vehicle disclosure. If you go to the listing, you'll find a 144-page third-party inspection report that shows you everything you need to know about the car. The strong points, but also the points where the car needs some extra love. If you see yourself popping up those headlights, head over to sothebysmotorsport.com, register as a bidder and start bidding. Now when it comes to the year-over-year price change, we can see that prices dropped by 8.7%. However, the uncertainty in this drop is large. Supply is at its lowest level since the end of 2021, and this increases the confidence interval. Correcting for this low supply, we end up at a drop of minus 6.7%. Moving on to the automatic 360s, we can see that also this car belongs to the exceptions. Prices are incredibly strong and are still 11.2% or $11,000 higher than 1 year ago. Now what's interesting here is that despite the size of the price change, it's not statistically confirmed. It are only the cars with less than approximately 19,000 miles that pushed prices up. And given that they have the largest market share, prices increased. Correcting for this, so equally weighting price changes in the high and low mileage cars, we arrive at a price increase of 2.8%. A bit lower than the 11%, but still an excellent result. Supply for the manual market and the Challenge Stradalis is unfortunately too low to get a reliable trend. So that means that we'll continue with the F430. Over here we have the price trend for the automatics, and this shows that also in this segment prices are strong. Compared to last year they're down by 1.3%, and this number is so low that we cannot speak of a price change. It could just be the result of chance. Now going back a few years to pre-pandemic numbers, we can see that long-term owners must be happy. Prices are up by 31% or $148,000 compared to February 2020. So also after inflation correction, prices are still up by approximately 10%. Switching to the Scuderia coupes, we can see a similar price pattern. However, a warning is in place here. Market supply is really low, so this 0.3% increase over here is a slight overestimation. Correcting for these changes in the market composition, we're looking at a drop of approximately 4.5%. And with that we also end the list of Ferraris for which prices were still quite strong during last year. Mid-engine Ferraris that aren't special editions and came after the F430 lost some money. Starting with the 458, we can see that the price trend is clearly pointing down for the coupes and the Spyders. Compared to last year, prices dropped by 12% in the coupe market and by 10% in the Spyder market. In monetary terms, this means that we're looking at drops of approximately $29,000 in both markets. Perhaps this is for the better. The market was super hot between 2020 and mid-2022. Prices really soared. The decrease didn't erase all of these gains. Even corrected for inflation, prices are still above the ones of May 2020. Transitioning to the 458 Speciale Coupe, we can see that prices are a bit stronger. Median prices didn't change during last year. But again, you must be getting tired of me mentioning this, but the market is very small. The confidence intervals are larger and the specific cars that are listed for sale have a relatively large impact on the price. Correcting for this, we arrive at a loss of 4.2%. And I think this is fair, given the development in the confidence interval. The market bottom decreased. Luckily for us, the 488 market is large enough to get a reliable price trend. Over here we can see the boom and bust pattern that we've seen countless times before. Price trends are pointing down, and this means that the coupes are down by 12% and spiders by 11%. Indeed, very similar to the 458 market. In monetary terms, we're looking at drops of roughly $35,000 and $36,500. Transitioning to the 488 Pista, excluding the Piloti editions, we can see that spiders are down by 8.2% and coupes by 8.5%. And this equals roughly a decrease of $50,000 and $65,000. I think it's fair to consider this as a relatively high number. It's only slightly less than the normal 488s and double that of the 458 Speciales. I looked a little bit deeper into these numbers and I even found that all of the Pista spiders that are for sale today were also for sale 3 months ago. That's not very encouraging for the price development. Pistas tend to be discounted by 2 to 4% every 3 months if they don't sell. Moving on to the F8, we can see again a topping pattern followed by a decline. The price drop during last year is then also similar to what we've seen before. Coupes are down by 8% and spiders by 12%. And this equals $35,000 for the coupe and $65,000 for the spiders. The spiders really demand a significant premium, and this of course means higher absolute losses. Finally then we arrive at the last model, the model that also experienced the largest losses, the SF90. Regular viewers will know that this model hasn't been performing well in terms of prices. Compared to last year, we're looking at a drop of 18.1% or $150,000. Yes, $150,000. Now to be fair, the situation is improving slowly. During the last 3 months, prices dropped by the lowest amount ever. Likewise, supply is stabilizing. Selling times are no longer increasing and price discounts after 3 months are no longer increasing. After more than a year, the depreciation curve starts to flatten. Slightly, that is. The question is of course where the prices will find their ground. So we covered a lot of graphs and numbers right now, and I think it's about time that we make a little summary. Over here we have all the price changes between September of this year and September of last year. We can see that the mid-engine Ferraris lost on average 8.1%. And more about the height of this number soon. Now looking at the edges, we can see that the SF90 sticks out on the negative side. It's the newest car after all. The 360 sticks out on the positive side. But remember that this number is corrected for the mileages. Low mileage cars increased more. Looking at the middle, we can see that the cars that lost more than 10% are mainly the 488 and 458, while the cars that lost less than 10% are mainly the older models and the special editions. In other words, like we already saw in the previous market update, the Ferrari market is returning back to normal. That is, a situation where most cars depreciate and where old cars lose less than new cars. But let's get back to that average drop of 8.1%. You see, we cannot say if it's high or low without comparing it to the market. So let's do that. Over here we have the year-over-year price changes on the horizontal axis for most cars for which I'm tracking the prices, and the number of cars to which these changes apply to on the vertical axis. This graph reveals that the average decrease during last year was 9.3%. In other words, the price decrease of 8.1% in the Ferrari market is lower than the market average. So overall it's a decent result. But as we saw a moment ago, it's important to look at a specific model, because there are some differences between them. Now the big question is of course, how will the future price development look like? And that's a tricky question. Nobody can predict the future, and I'm also not going to attempt to do that. Rather, I'll show you some developments in the data that could indicate a potential future path. And that's a path where depreciation rates aren't accelerating further. Let me show you why that could be the case. Over here we have the development in the unsold inventory and the price development of that unsold inventory, for the cars that saw the largest price decreases. The graph on the left shows the percentage of cars at any given date that were also for sale 3 months ago. And looking at this, we can see that the percentages have been increasing for a long time. In other words, cars were selling slower. Lately, however, the upward trend broke and the development has been more stable. And this means that the market was closer to an equilibrium. Also, the graph on the right hand side supports this. This graph shows the discounts that are applied to unsold cars. With exception of the SF90, they were still positive in the beginning of 2022, but came down rapidly. The bottom was around December 2022, January 2023. Since then, discounts became less negative and now at more normal rates. Both of these developments show that the market is getting more balanced and that, Therefore, it is unlikely that we'll see an increase in the current depreciation rates in the short term. But again, this is just my view. And with that, it's time to wrap up and conclude. Mid-engine Ferrari prices decreased by an average rate of 8.1% during last year, and this is slightly better than the market average. However, there are some models that lost considerably more, like the SF90, but also models that lost considerably less, like the 360. Price trends show that the market returned to a more normal situation. Cars are depreciating and the old or special models tend to lose less than the new ordinary models. Yet, based on inventory data, I think it's unlikely that we'll see a further acceleration of the decrease rates. For buyers, this means a few things. First, you should be comfortable with the current depreciation rates. And second, you might be able to get a small discount on a mid-engine model. Carried over inventory is relatively high, and discounts vary between 5% for the SF90 and 0.5% for the 458. Owners should of course make their own risk assessment based on their own risk appetite. Can you withstand losing even more up to the point that your net result is back to zero? Or do you continue to enjoy that V8? Now if you're waiting for the V12 models to pop up in this video, I need to disappoint you. They're not part of it. I always cover them in a separate market analysis. So I suggest that you head over to the Ferrari playlist on my channel and check out the latest market update for the V12s if you're looking for the V12s. If you're searching for a different car and cannot find it on my channel, let me know the name of that car by commenting it down below in the comment section. Once there are enough requests for a certain car, I'll make a video about it. As always, thank you for watching and I hope to see you next week for a new video.